Hey, I want to show you how I score racks. Now, I'm not an official scorer for any program. It's just something I've learned. I've watched my neighbor who was a taxidermist for 47 years. He was an official Pope and Young. And who's your record book scorer? I kind of followed him and watched what he did. Now, I've scored a lot of bucks for guys and for myself. And guys that have had them officially scored. And they're usually within an inch or two of what I came up with. So this is kind of a guideline to give you a roundabout close idea of what your buck scores. Of course, as in any case, you need to let the rack dry for a certain period before you can actually officially score it. However, you can green score these, and the way I'm going to show you, it's going to give you a pretty close idea of what your buck scores. So some things you're going to need are, first, you're going to need a soft tape measure that comes out and measures in 1/8 inch, because that's how we end up scoring the deer. But one thing I like to do, I like to have some masking tape or painter's tape, because I'll show you what we'll do. We'll put it on the rack, because we're going to need to make some marks so you have an actual spot to measure to. You're going to need I like to have lined paper, and I'll show you how I do this, and a pencil and a pen. And then go ahead and go online and look up Boone and Crockett scoring. They have PDF files you can download. And then this will actually be, once you get done putting on our pad and paper, you can put it back and transfer it over to this and get your official score. They actually have online, you can then plug all your numbers in if you're not sure about adding them up with the eights, you know, like 2/8 and 4/8 and whatever. And it'll show your net, or it'll show your gross, and it'll show your net. I'm not a net guy. Nets are for fishing. I use those in the summer when I fish, but I like the gross score. I truly believe if the buck grew it, he should get credit for it. However, let's get into how we score a rack. So first things we need to know are there are some difference between racks. You're going to have a 7-point rack. This is a buck Williams shot this year. We're going to have the typical 8-point buck. We're going to have the oddball 9-point buck. And then we're going to have like a typical 10-pointer. And the reason I want to show you the difference between these is because there really isn't much difference between a majority of scoring. It comes down to the mass measurements. And on a 9-pointer, you're going to have a different spot to score each one of yours. And on a 7-pointer, you're also going to have a different spot to score the last two mass measurements on that beam. So let's get into it. Okay, now I'm going to show you why you're going to need this tape. Because when you measure your tines, you don't measure from the bottom, and you don't measure from right here. You have to take from the low point in between each point across with your soft, I forgot to tell you, this is one of the most important things you're going to need. You're going to need a cable. This is actually a scoring kit that I got. But you're going to need this soft cable to measure the beams and to find out where our spot is at, where the tine sits. So what I like to do, and I'm doing this blindly, is take a piece of tape and put it on each tine from here to here, because we're going to need to make a mark where we measured the tine down to. One of the things I forgot to tell you is on your pad of paper here, I want you to write down on the right side, right and left, put a line down the middle. So then, now we have right and left here. So we're going to do we're going to do our times. So I'll mark the G1, G2, G3, however what you've got, mark them on your list. So we'll come through here and go G1, G2, G3, and G4, because this is a 10-pointer. Even though we have a split here, that's just going to be an extra, and we'll show you that later. And then I like to skip a line, and then we write M1, M2, M3, M4. Now on all deer, this is where some confusion comes. A 7-pointer, a 6-pointer, a 3-pointer, a spike, a 12-pointer. You get 4 mass measurements. It doesn't matter if you don't have, you know, an 8-pointer or a 10-pointer. You still get 4 measurements, and we'll show you how to do that. Anyway, so then below that, so here we go, we have the M1, M2, M3, and M4. I'll write down at the bottom, I'll write spread, and then I will write beams. I'll put a B here for the beam length, and we'll measure these around, and we'll show you how to do that. But first, we're going to show you the times. Now this is to me, this is the right beam and this is the left beam. If you're looking at it, you could say the opposite, but I always take it as it's sitting on the deer's head. This is his right beam. So let's come in here and we take this and we take our pencil, have a couple in case you break the lead. So then we make a mark there on the tape. And you don't want to do this on your rack. I mean, you can and it'll clean up, but it's better just to tape it. Then we make a mark right there. And we just continue around. We can start measuring them. So what you do is you've got to have a soft tape measure that has 1/8 increments and go at your 0. Now I know guys that will actually, probably official score, they'll take the actual cable and run it down because like this tine here is odd. But to get a rough score and pretty close, you just take it from the 0. You take it down and you look and you go, okay, that lands right on the 3. So we'll hit the G4 on the right side is 3 and put a 0/8 down on your score sheet. Okay, then we just come along here and do the same thing. You come down, you follow this around, you come down to that mark you got and you go 7 and 1, 2, 3/8. You mark that down for your G3, 7, 3/8. So that's what it looks like on your sheet. Now we're going to go ahead and do the other side in a minute, but I'm going to show you the other side how to do your mass measurements. But first we'll show you beam. Where do you start measuring your beam? Well, you know, when it comes to men especially, we have odd ways of measuring things. Anyway, I was always told you start right here at the burr. And you want to make at the side and you come around here and you just hold it. If you can't hold it, get a piece of tape and you wrap this around till you get to a spot. And then pinch it. Now what I'll do now is hold that and take a little piece of tape, the flat edge, and right there at that spot I'll wrap that. That way there's no question about where it was at. We start with the 0. We just come out. We come down and we say 21 and 3. So down here at the bottom, for our left beam, we're going to put 21 3/8. Okay, now that's how you measure the beams. Now, let's get to measuring the mass. I was always told you go halfway between. Now I've heard you find the smallest measurement, but on this case here, we'll know where the middle of the tine is on the beam, and you come down halfway. Now if you want to get technical, you can sit here and measure every single one of these and go, okay, 3.5, so we come down from the middle 1 3/4 right here. So you can pretty well eyeball it. What you do is you wrap this soft around. You see where your 0's at, and you go 4 6/8. So now this is a left beam, so this is going to be our M1. You write down 4, 6, 8. Now here we go, we come up to the next spot. Again, here's where it comes into the oddity. This would be the smallest, but I was taught you go halfway between. So again, we'll just guesstimate. You wrap around here. And actually it's 4 right on the nose. Now, once again, we come between the G2 and the G3. I go right in the middle. Usually on these, the middle is the smallest spot. And 3 5/8. Now our last one, and this is where the 7-pointer, 8-pointer, and 9-pointer come in. This is the oddity. So once again, we go right in between, because this point here, to be counted as points, got to be at least 1 inch. And we know this is probably 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. So we know that it is. If you wonder about it, go ahead and do your cable across, mark your spot, and measure to see if it's 1 inch. If it's not 1 inch, it really doesn't count. So we'll go right in the middle. 3 2/8. Okay, and that's going to give us our measurements except for our spread. Now, when you hit Boone and Crockett says they want a tip-to-tip, they want an outside spread, and an inside spread. The problem, I guess I see, is I don't understand why they want all these measurements, is because they only give you credit for the inside spread. And your inside spread credit cannot be any greater than your longest beam. You put it on your 0 and you find, now you got to come straight down from the rack, you find your greatest spread straight across. Okay, you can't do it like this, you can't do it like this. Okay, I mean, think about it. If you did, you could come here and go, oh, I got a 17.5. No, the spread on this, the width of this buck is 15 and we'll say 4. So down here we'll put it 15.4, and we'll show you later how you add that in. All right, here is our extra point. Now how are we going to do this, you say? Hopefully you can see this. All right, this was what I counted as my brow tine. So you look at this and you look at the webbing. You don't start back here, you start right here in the middle like we did before with the tape. Now, you know, I'm not going to tape this one, but if you want to be official, I guess they would. I'm just going to guesstimate, and that's going to be 1 4/8. So there I will put on here a sticker point. Now we're going to show you, this is a 9-pointer. I'm going to show you how you're going to get your last measurement. And this will be true for an 8-pointer. The only difference we're going to have is if you had one with just 1, 2 tines on one side. So you get your mass measurement 1 right there, mass 2, mass 3. Now mass 4 we don't have a tine. So you have to go from the tip, and I'm doing this backwards, guys, so I hope it's right. But you got to come from the tip, and you come down to where the tine meets here. We're going to guesstimate this. Okay, so it's 9.5. So from the tip, we want to come back 4 3/4 inches. And so there's 4 3/4. Have your tape if you want. I'm just going to mark this rack because this is mine too. The cape got bad in my freezer. And then you measure there. Okay, that's how you do that. Your last measurement on a 8-pointer, when I'll show you a 8-point rack, is going to be the same. This is a buck Chris shot this year. It's going to be the same. You come from the end to here, and you measure halfway back, And Chris got lucky because about halfway back it's got a big knob on this side. And the same here, you're going to come from the middle of your tine out to here and then come back half and measure it. I believe, I don't have a 6-pointer, but we're going to show you if there was a 6-pointer. Okay. Well, we do have it. I'm sorry. I guess I am right. So, this is Williams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pointer. He shot this year that you saw. They flipped it over backwards. Now, how do you do this last 2 mass measurements? Because you got M1, M2, M3, and M4. The same way. You got to come and divide this into thirds so everything's equal. You come from the end of the tine and you measure back the end of the beam to the middle of the tine, and you say we're going to make this 7 just for ease. So 7 divided by 3, and that will give you your distances. So we'll say 6, 3. That's 2 1/3. So 2 3/8 or 2 4/8. We'll come back. 2. So right here would be a measurement. That would be your M4. And then you come another 2 inches and then right here. So you still get your 4 mass measurements. Excuse me. You just have to go, okay, wait a minute. We have to divide this by 3. So we're equal. So say this was 6 inches. We go 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. And there would be your mass measurement and there would be your mass measurement. And that's kind of the simple way to explain it. So we have our left, G1, G2, G3, right, we got mass, and what we'll do here is we'll put a little line on both of them, okay? So you're going to start adding up your 8s. You got 4, and that's a 5. So you got, this is 0, 8s. So you got 8, and then 13 8s, and you want to take that out. Okay, so we know that's, bring 1 up here 1 inch, and that leaves us 5. So we have 5 8s. So then we start adding 4, 5. We'll just do this way. 8, 16, 21. 132 and 5/8 is the net gross typical. Now we add the 1 4/8 onto here, and that makes us 1/8, 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 134 and 1/8 inch is that rack. You guys, if you want to add to comments if I did something wrong, I'd appreciate it. That's how I score my deer. I've scored a lot of deer when my friend Tom was alive. I scored about 6 of my own bucks, took them down to him, and actually all 6 of them were within an inch or so of what I thought they were. So this is how I do it. I hope that helps you, kind of give you a slight tutorial or an idea of how you can score your deer, and that way you're kind of giving more of a close guesstimate to what you have. Well, thanks for watching. As always, take care, be safe. You know, most of all, have fun. Like we did with this hunt, which is on YouTube channel. This hunt, Will's, this was Chris's buck he shot that with his 400 Legend. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, this deer's on the wall. This is my buck from that I shot on the day I celebrate my father. Now, this is what I'm talking about. If you go halfway, look at this huge point that you've got. Well, we can't do that. I was told you got to go halfway in here because there's no room down here, really. So this is where I took the mass measurement. Unfortunately, it cut this mass measurement in half, but really there is no way. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but there's no way to measure that over that because that's considered an extra point.